Hello, welcome. This is Reginald Andre with Miami Business Leaders, and we want to just thank you so much for joining us. Miami Business Leaders was created for you, the business leader, the executive, the community leader, the community activist, all over South Florida, Miami-Dade, Broward, and West Palm Beach counties. We created this Facebook group so that there it would be a way for us to be able to collaborate, to exchange ideas, to network. And today we have a very, very special guest, my good friend, Jonathan Nieto. How you doing today, Jonathan?
Well, how are you, Andre?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining me today. So for those of you that don't know, I have been wanting to do this type of podcast for a long, long time. And just today, Jonathan and I was just talking about something called the 80-20 rule. And for those of you that don't know the 80-20 rule, it's about 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. And we're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. But as Jonathan and I just started to talk about it, we just went from another conversation about business to another conversation about business. And then I'm like, Jonathan, we got to go on video. We got to let our audience know, like, all this information that's in your head. And then from there, we were trying to plan it for about 2 weeks. And then we just kept on talking, kept on talking. I was like, Jonathan, what are you doing at 3:30 today? So we had our graphic person do a quick graphic. We put it up, and here we are today. So for those of you that don't know Jonathan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. Just a quick little synopsis of myself. I came from the property management industry, left after 12 years of being in property management because I wanted to get back into business. I've had several businesses throughout my journey, for lack of a better term. But today, I'm pretty much in the business of just helping other businesses grow and help them increase profits through pretty much what we do is we do marketing. I own a marketing firm and a video production studio. So we're helping other businesses grow at this point.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, let's get right to it. So let's talk about the 80-20 rule. So
Yeah.
when I was, I would say about 6 years ago in my business, we were mostly doing residential customers. And I know that I needed to do a shift because the writing was on the wall that soon the residential work was going to go. And it was always what they call a break fix. They break it, they fix it. And what the 80-20 rule is, and I encourage all business owners, if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and pause it and then and do this, is I want you to take your QuickBooks and I want you to go ahead and do a report for your sales and then export that to Excel. And the, you're going to take that Excel spreadsheet and you're essentially going to then calculate the top 80% line. And with that 80% line, you're going to notice that with your revenue, the biggest revenue is coming from 20% of your customers. And Jonathan, you mentioned that there was a word for that.
Yes, it's actually called the Pareto Principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that principle, you had mentioned that it could actually be used many places, right?
Yeah, it's funny because it kind of shows up everywhere. And it's funny when you and I were talking today, I mentioned something which uh, it's kind of funny, but it's true. I mean, you look at your closet, even the clothes that you wear, 80% of the
Mhm.
clothes that's in there, you only wear 20% of the time. And it just shows up in different areas of life. It's funny how it works. So it's a pattern that you definitely want to pay attention to.
Yeah. So when I did this spreadsheet, I realized that all the time that we were spending was on that 80%. But the amount of business, the biggest part of my business, that 80% was coming from 20% of my customers. So what that told me is that I had a lot of, and I say this, nicely, of course, because I appreciate all the clients that we have, and I know this is recording and stuff like that. But we had a lot of bottom feeders. We had a lot of customers that would just call us once in a while. We had a lot of customers that when we would, send a bill, they would dispute it. We would send a bill, and now it's 3 months, you're having to chase them and things like that. And that, when I learned that, that changed my whole mindset. That it made me realize that, I gotta go for bigger clients. I can't just keep on going for this 80%. I got to level it up, because the more I'm able to level it up, the better quality clients I'm going to get. In addition to that, the 80% that I was taking care of, and all of that hard work I was doing, I was neglecting that 20%. And I know that I needed to start taking care of them. So as soon as I found that out, we developed plans where we would do quarterly calls with that 20% to make sure that they felt appreciated, and to make sure that I didn't lose them, because if I left them, that would have been 80% of my revenue. So did I explain that good, Jonathan?
You did.
Yeah, so that's kind of, why this whole conversation started, and why we wanted to talk to the business owners, because it's an exercise that I recommend that you do, so that you can realize who are your top clients, and who are your clients that are on the bottom, that you may be doing a lot of work for, but they're not actually having the revenue that you would want. And then from there, you'll make that decision that you need to either raise your prices, or just maybe transition out once you get some new business. So Jonathan, how long have we known each other, you would say?
At least 6, 7 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So when I met you, you were at a property, like you mentioned, you did condominium property management.
Yep.
And how long have you been on your own now?
So, well, I've been in the entrepreneurial business world on and off, but on my own now, it's been a little over a year now. By in June, it will. I'm sorry, no, it'll be 2 years
Wow.
soon. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I remember we were talking in your office, and you were telling me like, hey, I'm gonna, just to let you know, I'm gonna be going away and taking the jump. So let's talk about that, because I would say, I know the building that you were working in, you were working for a great management company. The your board seemed, reasonable. So is it fair to say you were comfortable in that position?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was paying the bills and everything like that. So what made you take that jump from leaving, X dollars that you were making, to now basically, you're hunting. Now you gotta go kill to eat.
So, I mean, some of the people that know me know that I'm a father. So I'm a single father of three wonderful kids. Luckily, I only had one girl. I hear they're the most expensive one. So, so this is the thing, man. I realized that where I was, I mean, and not to discredit what I was doing, property management,
Mhm.
property management wise, meaning I was in a great building, great board of directors, great support system when I was working with KW. We were, it was a really great gig, right? But I realized that I wasn't really getting what I needed in terms of income, right? And I felt like, I could provide much more value than what I was doing. But my biggest point for leaving, I would say, was I knew the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to have. I knew I had a very good awareness of the kind of life that I wanted to provide for my children, for my family. And in property management, I just could not make that kind of money. Um, where I was at, in the building I was at, I had a great salary. Even if I would have jumped on to a more valuable position, like maybe a district manager role, I still wouldn't have been able to meet my financial goals. So I decided, right then and there, to go back into business, and just really take it very seriously. So that's exactly what I did, and it's paying off so far.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, because I always, love it when I hear entrepreneurs, and like you said, even when you were in doing the management, you did already have that entrepreneur spirit, and
Yep.
then you took that jump. So how was it like? When did you decide? You know what, this is it? Like what? Like was there like a final draw where you just said, I'm gonna do it? Like, because a lot of times people, I think I posted that the other day. A lot of people, they want to jump, but then when they jump, they're afraid that the parachute may not work. So for you, leaving a guaranteed paycheck to now going to this here, how did you finally make that decision?
Well, I definitely felt comfortable enough because I'd saved up money, of course. I think you got to be, you have to be reasonable. Of course, you don't want to just, make a poor poorly advised decision, and just go for it when you don't know what you're doing. But I had some money set aside, but what I felt comfortable moving, or I felt impelled. Sorry, that's the word I was looking. I felt more impelled to leave because I was running into the situation where you know how they say you have more month at the end of the money. So I got to the point where it's not that I was spending too much. I actually wasn't spending a lot of money on my own things. It's just I had so many expenses. Like I said, I have 3 kids. Um, I have rent, health insurance, all that costs money. The
Hmm.
education, all that costs money. So I just realized, I said, you know what I want out of life is unfortunately not here.
Hmm.
I love who I work with, and it was a matter of giving up comfort, knowing that I was going to launch myself into the unknown, knowing that I was going to be uncomfortable for the next few months or as long as it was going to take. But I knew that I remember like kind of a voice inside of me saying, "See where this road takes you." And I felt like I needed to make a change. I really felt like I needed to make a change,
Awesome, awesome. So
kind of
you
like a
made the
calling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you made the changes, and I'm sure there's plenty of mistakes that you've made. And I'd love for you to talk about that because a lot of times the mistakes show you end up learning from these mistakes. Obviously, you end up learning from the mistakes, but we do
Absolutely.
have a lot of people inside the Mining Business Leaders Group that are about to or just in their first or second year. So we would love to hear from you as far as what mistakes did you make so that we can make sure that these people don't make
So I think when you and I met, I went to Andalusia, which was the property management, the property that I was working at. I was
them.
running a dry cleaner. I heard
Okay.
there was good money in dry cleaning. I didn't really know anything about the business. I just heard there was money in it, so I dove into it. And to be honest, it was it was it was one of those experiences where I was really just doing everything myself. That honestly was one of the mistakes that looking back in retrospect, it was that I was I had too many hats. I was taking care of almost 90% of the operations. And I wasn't eventually, I wasn't making time for myself. I wasn't making time for my family. I wasn't making time for personal development, like going to the gym or taking care of myself. I mean, it just became a huge mess. And I feel like I see a lot of business owners make that same mistake, that they feel like they have to do everything by themselves, either because they're afraid of trusting others or they're afraid that what they're going to do is not going to work. And
Mhm.
that was my biggest challenge. And that ultimately, I failed big time. And it was a huge learning experience for me, which definitely taught me, left me black and blue, but I definitely bounced back from that. So
Awesome. Yeah. So then that also comes to delegating, right? And
yeah.
trusting others to do your work. And I have been like a huge fan of delegating lately, especially as our business has grown and we've been able to outsource. So let's talk about delegation. How are you delegating now, and especially with your clients that you help guide in their business? What type of advice are you giving them about delegation?
So kind of going back to the mistakes that I made, I failed to delegate, right? And it's funny because when I went into property management, all I, most of my job was delegating, making sure that everyone was doing their job and whatnot. Um, but I guess in business I would run it differently. It was it's strange. But so one of the things that you and I spoke about earlier today, which is so true, and I'd like to share, is that it's kind of almost counterintuitive, right? But the less you work,
Hmm.
ultimately, the more you make. Why? And the reason is because you get to make that transition from going to focusing on menial tasks to focusing on meaningful tasks.
Mm.
And honestly, that was the biggest game changer for me when I don't remember who said this, but there's someone that said, don't never do something you can pay someone else to do, right? And a CEO's job, you're a CEO,
Right.
you're the CEO, you're the own business owner, so am I. We gotta, I mean, you're not out there, uh, you're probably not doing, the technical work of your business. I'm not really doing the technical work of my business anymore. We did at one point, but at this point, we've already probably, I'm sure you are, and so am I. We get other people to do the work for us, and
Absolutely.
that's a transition that unfortunately a lot of people don't make. I see a lot of business owners, they don't make that transition, and that's what costs them in the end. You can get you can't you can only do so much. Ultimately, you spread yourself too thin.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know.
absolutely. And when speaking of spreading yourself thin, then you're gonna like, why are you doing this? Do you have a? Is it a real business, or you're just like, you're just working for a check?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you said that. I had a mentor of mine mention something to me that just blew my mind. It got me to think about things a little differently. And a mentor of mine, I didn't tell you this, but a mentor of mine came to me and he said, Jonathan, do you if you walk away from your business, let's say God forbid you get sick or you get hit by a bus, if you walk away from your business, will your business still make money?
Hmm.
And I thought about it. I'm like, man, no, I can't. If I walk away from my business, it'll go crazy. I mean, it shuts down completely. So he
Right.
said, okay, so you don't have a business, you have a job.
Hmm.
And when he told me that, it just clicked for me. I realized, I'm like, man, I'm going about business the wrong way because like I said, it's going back to what I said. It's almost counterintuitive, but the less you work, the more you make because the moment you start to delegate and you delegate, you delegate the menial tasks. Now you have more time to focus on developing the business, which is really what a business owner's job is. You should be focusing on developing your business, developing relationships with your clients, developing relationships even with your staff.
Yeah.
One of the biggest resources is your staff. I take time. I learned this from working at another property management company, but one of the ways I like to develop my relationship with staff, I'll buy them lunch every once in a while. Those little things go a long way, and it creates reciprocity. Same thing with your clients. Take them out to lunch, develop the relationship. A lot of companies do that for a reason. So going back, if you're not delegating, you don't have the time to do that. Is the focus I want to bring that to. So it's and it's funny. And if you go back to also like property management, when I was a
Mhm.
property manager, I was never the one cleaning the floors.
Right.
I was never the one. I was never the chief engineer. I was never cleaning filters. I was never landscaping. I was literally my only job was to tell people what to do, to make sure that the system is working properly. And it's funny, a lot of us tend to do it the opposite in business. It's like we want to do everything ourselves. And it's really not about how hard you work because value doesn't equate to how hard you work, right? Income doesn't equate to how hard you work. The money that we gain, the income, and you can see this, the money that we earn, our income equates totally to the value that we provide the marketplace. That's
Hmm.
it, right? So for example, who gets paid more in a property? Does a housekeeper get paid more, or does a property manager get paid more?
Property manager. Yeah.
Property manager. Why? Because the value that a property manager brings to a property requires is of a high value. The for a housekeeping job has a very low value. It's a very there's no technical skill, very little technical skill that comes with it. So
Right.
it's that's what a lot of people need to understand. It's you want to make more money, it's understanding, just really understanding how valuable you are within your corporation. Really,
Yeah.
what roles are you doing that are what's the value of the role you're playing?
Yeah. And I would even say, you want to put that on your personal life. If
Yeah.
if you can afford it, of course. Like for us, for example, I mean, I have my son do it nevertheless, but my son, he's the one washing the cars. I used to sit there on a Saturday morning because I grew up doing that. And on a Saturday morning, I would go and I would wash the cars. And 3 hours later, yes, the cars are clean, but I mean, I could have paid someone 35, $40. And I now just pay my son like $10 each. But nevertheless, it's like, washing cars is not my passion. And I could have even spent that 2 or 3 hours washing the car, with my daughter, with my son, with my wife, going out to have breakfast while the car's being washed, you know, and even on the personal side, again, even to clean the house. If you can, for me, if you can pay a housekeeper to come and you know, pay them 12, $13 an hour, whatever it is, or $80 for the session or whatever, easily. I'd rather do that than sit there and, you know, again, it's not that it's a respectable task, but pay 80 bucks, someone washes your house, and then maybe you can go do work for an hour and make 200 bucks, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Time is your most valuable asset.
Is
100%.
that
You know, to keep it short and simple, I actually had a conversation with that, not to a conversation with a business owner, and this guy, you know, he was, I asked him, you know, how much is your time worth?
mm-hmm.
And he told me, he's like, well, you know, you could say my, you know, it's about 1,000 an hour. That's pretty much what my time is worth now. And I asked him, well, let me ask you, do you clean your house? And he said he said yeah. He said yeah, you know, I clean my house. And I asked him, so how much time do you spend cleaning your house? He said, well, I spend like 3 hours. And then I told him, all right, so your time is worth $1,000, and you're cleaning your house. It takes you 3 hours to clean your house. You're a pretty expensive housekeeper.
Right.
You can
Yes,
just hire someone else to do it for you. That's the power of delegating.
exactly. I love it, man. I love it. So let's now talk about the personal development.
Yes.
Because you had to, when we talked earlier, you talked about the, and I'm going to quote, work harder on yourself than your job.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing that I learned from. I used to listen to Jim Rohn a lot. I don't know if
Okay.
anyone here has
Yep.
listened to Jim Rohn, but that particular saying, I heard him say it once. You know, I heard him say it once, and it just changed the way I operate. Really, learn to work harder on yourself than your job. At the end of the day, Andre, I think the my income has changed substantially because I've decided to work harder on myself than anything else. Honestly, it's really a matter of. I mean, I don't want to get too technical, but I'll put it this way. You know, our subconscious, you know, everything that we've learned throughout the years, everything that
Mhm.
we've learned, everything gets stored in our subconscious. And you know, the more information that we process, eventually, you know, we become better problem solvers. We become better because we have just so many reference points in within that library, right, that we have stored in the back of our head, which what we call our subconscious. And it just allows you, you know, you don't it just allows you to just become a better person overall. And I think that translates, it really translates in business. It really does, and it's really changed my income level. I think, like I said, you make yourself a more valuable person, that your income has to rise as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is it that you're doing now? So after you made that jump, what is it that you're doing now, and how are you helping your clients?
So I have, like I said, I have a background in well, actually, I have a background in, you know, business. When I went to college, I was, you know, my background was business administration, and I had my minor in marketing. My first job was in marketing, so it kind of came full circle. I decided to get back into marketing, and that's pretty much what I've been doing now for the most part. I also have another company which all we do is we do video production. We've actually been doing video production for the past 4 years.
Nice.
And it just so the marketing aspect came because I figured, you know, I saw a lot of my business owner I'm sorry, a lot of my clients, the business owners I was dealing with, we were creating these amazing, you know, videos and content for them, but they didn't know what to do with it. So there
Mm-hmm.
was like no return on investment. They'd grab it, post it on Facebook or on their website, just they had no idea how to manage that content. So that's when I came in and I said, you know what, I'm going to provide more value for my clients, and I'm going to figure out a way to get them a return on investment for the money that they're spending on us. And it's just been great. Actually, it's working out really well.
Nice. And what type of clients are you? Do you have a special niche, or is it small businesses, or how does it work?
So we can you know, there's certain we work with pretty much anybody that needs to get more business. Our focus
Mhm.
is just on helping people scale their businesses, grow, and make more profits. There's certain We work across different niches, but we work mostly within the marine industry because that's just where we started.
Hmm.
But we work with the marine industry. We work with contractors, general contractors. If we work with financial advisors. And we work with even jewelry. We had a jewelry shop. So I mean, we work across all different
Okay,
niches. If you need customers, we can help you get them.
nice. Well, it wouldn't be. I would have to ask you a marketing question, and maybe it's for me. But let's talk, so let's talk about marketing for a moment here. So
Sure.
I mean, there's so many different platforms:
Yeah.
Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And I personally don't have any time to do all of that. I try my best. I'm posting and things like that. But so for a company and generally speaking, like what is the best way on as far as online marketing? What should they do? Because business owners are trying to run their business, and it's bad enough sometimes they're working in the business, not on the business. So what is a business owner to do?
So it's really simple. All businesses is really three things. It's marketing, fulfillment. I'm sorry, marketing, sales, and fulfillment. Right? Those three things are what business is. So the more people you tell about your business, the more of a percentage you're gonna get out of there. Right? You're gonna get a small percentage out of there to hear your message, and a small percentage out of that is going to eventually turn into a customer. So, I would suggest any business owner, if you don't have the money to invest in marketing, because of course, whether you're investing in flyers or whether you're investing in a marketing team to handle it for you, there's always a cost involved. But if you want to do something minimal, just keep that in mind. The more people that you talk, the more sales opportunities you create, and the more sales opportunities that you create, the more business you get. So
Mm,
it's really that simple. I would suggest tapping into your network. You have friends on Facebook or Instagram. Let them know what you're doing. The more people you tell, the better. I kind of like to think about it in terms of you can be the best. You can be the Andre, like you, for example. You have a company, you do IT. You can be the best in the business, but if nobody knows what you do, brother, no one's gonna do business with you, right? So it's like almost standing in a corner and just, yeah, like saying to people, hey, I do business over here, but nobody can hear you. You're not gonna get business.
hmm hmm
So yeah, just I would definitely try tapping into your network, right? Let's say Facebook, Instagram. Um, I'm not a big fan of like boosting posts,
mm,
but you can, yeah, whatever gets the most eyeballs on your business, the better. Your message needs to be clear. That's one thing in marketing, is that you don't want to mix messages. So, for example, you that you're an advertiser, you that do certain things in the IT world, you don't want to mix your messages, because when you confuse, you lose. You
right.
want to, if you want to push one particular service, don't mix it with several other messages. Hey, we do this, we do this, we do this, we do this. Stick to that, and always know your customer. Know who it is that you're going after. You have to do some research on who it is that you want to acquire, who's your ideal customer, and then cater your message to that particular customer, to that ideal customer, and always have an irresistible offer and provide the most value that you can to anybody, and that should get you going. But in terms of platforms, any of them work. It's really a numbers game at the end of the day. The more, the better.
Oh man, awesome. When you confuse, you lose. I love that
Yeah.
one. I'm gonna slow that one from you. Now we don't have any much more time left, but I just wanted to just let everyone know that this is the Miami Business Leaders Group, and I want to thank you so much, everyone, for watching. And please, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the group. And if you have any questions for Jonathan as we wrap up, please go ahead and put it in the comments. So, Jonathan, the last question I want to ask you is about raising your prices. Everyone, especially now, is cost conscious about charging more. But and I just want you to talk about that topic for a moment about raising your prices.
So, it's funny you mentioned that. My partner actually in the my on the video production side, we're filming for a TV show host right now in Louisiana. He's actually 100 miles offshore right now,
Wow.
and the person that we're doing the person we're doing this filming for, we were about to quote him a low price because we wanted to make sure that we get the business and this and that. And then we decided, you know what, let's just charge him a little more. Ultimately, the guy had a budget and he ended up paying us even more than we even quoted him. He said, "Oh, we'll give you some more." So so sometimes you think that sometimes, business owners, we think that, we're going to lose business if we're not the cheapest. It's really not. That's really not how it works. If you really feel you're worth a certain price, then that's what you should be charging. Sometimes customers won't even bat an eye after if you've been charging $85 an hour for, a service, and you've been doing that for 5 years, you haven't equated the cost of living, the cost of inflation, and you're still charging the same prices, you might want to reconsider what you're charging. So I definitely would
Yeah.
recommend. I'm sure you can talk about that too,
Yeah.
Andrew.
And especially if you're giving, I mean, I made those mistakes where, here I am giving employees raises. We have the vendors because we have different tools that we use in order to provide support to the clients, be it the antivirus software, the remote software. They're raising their prices. And here I am, customer, year over year, and they're at the same rate. And I mean, going back and looking at it, it's like it was crazy. It was crazy. So for that, I would actually recommend that when you're doing your contract with your customers, and let's just say it's a 3-year contract, don't just make it for that price for the 3 years. Put a stipulation in there that says year one, for example, 500, year two, 575, year three, 670, whatever it is. But put something in your contract because everybody's raising their prices. They may not advertise it, you may not notice it, but the big corporations, they're raising their prices. And you, especially for you and your business, which I'm speaking to the audience, you bring value, you are good at what you do, you're an expert, and most importantly, how much time did it take you to be where you are? So don't compare yourself with the guy down the street where in IT we call them truck slammers, because in IT anybody in a sense can fix a computer and things like that. And don't compare yourself to that. So when your client is saying, "Hey, I'm getting quotes from somebody else that is 10% cheaper, 20% cheaper," you can negotiate, but don't just say, "Okay, well, I'm going to beat that price." This is not progressive where the client gets to name their own price. And even that is a whole trick with the progressive name your own price thing. There's a whole formula where they determine that you're not much as a risk. So therefore, that's why they're lowering your price, because they look at the miles that you do, they look at your history. So it's not that you're necessarily naming your own price. They've just calculated the risk that says, yeah, you know what, you're not as much as a risk as this other person. And that's why they're lowering their price. But they're not just lowering their price because because you just asked and they just didn't want you to leave.
And if you don't mind for me to add to that,
Yeah, go for it.
raising your prices, you shouldn't be afraid of raising your prices, because at the end of the day, all businesses really is relationships. And if you have a
Mm-hmm.
good relationship with your client, prices aren't going to be as important. You might have the bottom 20, the bottom, I'm sorry, you might have the 80, the worst customers might be the ones that they might tell you, "Hey, the prices," but it's okay, they could leave, it doesn't matter.
Right.
No, but the point I'm trying to make is, developing relationships with people is so important, because eventually, at the end of the day, people do business with people they like.
Mm-hmm.
They like you, they're going to do business with you. The reason why I continue doing business with Andre is because I like Andre. If tomorrow Andre decides to go sell potatoes, and he comes to me and says, "Jonathan, I'm selling potatoes. Guess who I'm going to buy potatoes from?" So develop relationships and don't worry about your prices. Or raising
Awesome.
your prices. Sorry.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, man. Jonathan, thank you so much on the fly. Like we mentioned earlier, me
Okay.
and him was just having a conversation. We're scheduling this for 2 weeks in advance. I'm like, "Jonathan, I need to get your brain in now." And so thank you so much. Oh, and so for people that want to reach you, how can they reach you?
So they can go to my website. It's realmarketingstrategies.com. It's spelled like real, since we work in the marine industry, like REEL, Real Marketing Strategies. They can find me on Facebook, Jonathan Nieto, or they can also find our webpage. Our video production company is Real Hooking, also spelled double E, not EA. Those are the best ways to reach me, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody that has a business and is looking to expand and grow and increase profits.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much, man. We got to do this again because I know there's a whole bunch of other topics that we would love to ask you about. So, again, thank you so much, viewers, for doing our actually first episode of the Miami Business Leaders Biz Talk. And this is Reginald Andre and Jonathan Nieto signing off, and we'll see you next week.